What's good, everybody? It's the Real AG back at you here on the Lockdown Defense Sports Network. And we got week 3 in the books. My Kansas City Chiefs, maybe your Kansas City Chiefs, finally got a dub in the win column, sitting at 1-2, moving on to week 4 into some greener pastures and another segment of Kingdom Keys with the Real AG. So, quickly recapping the week 3 matchup against the Giants. As you saw the score right there, it was definitely a little bit of a better game, just based on how the first two went. Chiefs pulled out a victory 22-9 in New York. Certainly a little bit more of an aerial attack from the Chiefs offense. And, it's definitely a plus that Mahomes was not the leading rusher again in this game. But quickly, just kind of looking at the stats, Mahomes was 27 for 30 or 22 for 37, 224, one touchdown, no picks. Big target on the day was Tyquan Thornton, 5 catches, 9 targets, 71 yards, and a touchdown. Overall, like I said, just great to get their first win of the season. I realized it was against the New York Giants and Russell Wilson, but pretty good to just avoid the 0-3 start overall. I thought Kansas City had a pretty clutch second half, pulled away in the game, scoring in the third and fourth quarter, which is just crazy enough to say that it's like kind of a plus to talk about as a Chiefs fan, just the fact that they scored a touchdown in a quarter. But, it is what it is right now. Overall, on the defensive side of things, they had another strong outing, capped Russ in the Giants passing attack after they had a pretty booming week 2 against the Cowboys defense. Karlaftis is definitely Furious George out there with 10 tackles, 3 TFLs, a batted pass, a sack, and 4 QB hits. So just an absolute menace. Nick Bolton had 14 tackles, so just all over the field. And then Jalen Watson and Roland Wallace both got picks off Russ, who just could not stop trying to force the deep ball. But like I said, held Russ to 160 passing yards, no tutties, 2 picks. I think that the key positives are, one, it was a dub. We saw a little bit more explosiveness and movement, if you will, out of this offense. Mahomes is certainly building a connection with Tyquan Thornton, who I think that could be exciting as a year-long prospect. Thornton had a pretty big and clutch 33-yard catch that, kind of helped set up the game-sealing score. So those are certainly the positives to kind of note after the Giants game. Switching to the good, take the good with the bad here. My concerns are somewhat still the same as what we've seen, really kind of throughout the later part of last half of last season and kind of the start of this year. We're still seeing just aggressively slow starts from the Chiefs defense. The offense was insanely sluggish again in the first half. I think only had 125 yards. It's crazy. It's kind of, they're also just somewhat seem out of character for what we know as an Andy Reid coach team, because they have multiple penalties. They had 8 penalties for 85 yards. Juwan Taylor is it's the same old song and dance with that dancing bear. He can't line up, can't line up on the line of scrimmage, and can't stay in his position until the ball snapped. And I don't even remember. I haven't looked up what they pay him because I know it'll piss me off. But it's crazy, just the lack of attention to detail in some of those things. Again, lack of offensive consistency, because they still failed to have a lot of sustained drives. They had them when they needed them, but that's just not what you want to see, especially against a weaker tier opponent in the Giants. Sorry, Giants fans, it just is what it is. On top of that, the run game is still and was very non-existent in that game. Looking at the box score, again, I said at least Mahomes wasn't the leading rusher, but Pacheco, they split carries. Pacheco, Hunt both had 10. Pacheco had 45. Hunt had 34 and a touchdown. And on top of that, it's just like, what was even Pacheco doing in that game? Made some pretty boneheaded decisions that could have cost the game, honestly. And kudos to Mahomes for getting on the ball, but it's just so out of character for this Chiefs team right now. But it is what it is. We at least got a dub. There were some things to build on, and like I said at the start of this thing, we're moving on to week 4 and hopefully some greener pastures. So Looking ahead to next week, let's start with the injury report and just the players who are kind of on the mend or need to watch heading into week 4 here. So obviously we have Xavier Worthy. He's been out since pretty much all of the season because he played like 3 plays in week 1. He was ruled out Saturday for this Giants game, was limited all last week, is questionable so far, but I mean, I think that the Chiefs are either downplaying the severity of his injury or just not wanting to admit how serious it is. But I think the fact that they haven't put him on the IR means that they plan to ramp him up and progress him to playing here soon. Whether that's this week or next week, I don't know, but I think it's happening soon. Then on the defensive side of the ball, we have Christian Fulton, the cornerback. He's also questionable for this week, as well as Mike Dana. All 3 of those guys did not play Sunday night against the Giants. But we will monitor that as we go on. So then moving on to what's ahead, the upcoming matchup, we got the Ravens in Arrowhead. I think Ravens are 2.5-point favorites. So second time in as many home games for Mahomes this year that he is a dog at home. But it is what it is. Both teams are 1-2. Ravens are coming off a big loss against Detroit that everyone watched. You know that they're going to come out swinging in this game like they weren't already. And on top of that, both of these teams have been pretty neck and neck throughout this, really Mahomes, Lamar Jackson era that we've been in. We know if just last year, Ravens should have won if Isaiah Likely was wearing white cleats. So I do think it'll be a close game. It'll be a hard fought game. And, I think it is one that I ultimately, like I said, hope we see the Chiefs build on kind of some of the stuff they did last week. But just looking at kind of the key injuries for the Ravens real quick. I couldn't really get an updated list just because they did play Monday night, but you did see Buke, Van Noy, and Jair Alexander all did not play in that Monday night game, and definitely want to monitor the status of that because that could impact things with just how the Baltimore Ravens defense matches up with the Chiefs offensively. But we'll see kind of on all the injury fronts how that progresses to this game. But then, getting into the nitty gritty of it are my kingdom keys or what the Chiefs need to do to win. You can see the prediction there at the bottom. I'm going to ride with my squad unless it just objectively does not make any sense. But my big keys here, some of them may be painfully obvious, but hey, when you're 1-2 and trying to get things on the right track, sometimes the obvious and simple is what needs to just be executed. But first and foremost, they got to contain Lamar Jackson and the Ravens running game. That is something that the Chiefs defense has still, even with the woes this season, been pretty good at defensively and containing the run game. They're especially going to need to do that in this game. You got to force Lamar to throw and be more one-dimensional offensively, and I think that'll just help create more opportunities as the game goes on. They got to maintain edge discipline and their rush containment. That kind of goes hand in hand with containing Lamar, but we know the Ravens like to get creative with the athletic ability that their quarterback has. They like to run a lot of bootlegs, sweeps, outside zone plays. So Karlaftis, Gelati, Mike Dana, if he's out there, like these guys are going to have to, play smart, sound, edge disciplined football and not do it like Chris Jones did in week 1. No shade there, but get off of your lane and try to make a play. That's when something bad happens. And we saw that week 1. We cannot see that this week against the Ravens and Lamar. And then, this is a key every week, but they got to control and win the trenches on both sides of the ball. We got to have a big game from the offensive line. I thought they played better against I thought they played better against the Giants, and who had a pretty respectable pass rush. I thought did pretty well overall against that unit. So they need to kind of double down and build off of that against this Ravens team. We know they're creative. We know they like to blitz. We know that they can play defense, even if they haven't really thus far this season. So that's going to be big. And then, defensive side of the ball, if you're winning the trenches, that helps you contain the run game and keep Lamar in check and make him one-dimensional. And then, like I said, making Lamar one-dimensional opens up a lot more opportunities, and I think that the Chiefs defense is going to have to capitalize on that. I mean, if they didn't have turnovers in that Giants game, they might have won that thing 10-9, or not at all. So they're going to have to get turnovers in this game. They're going to have to steal a possession or two from the Ravens. And if they're doing the rest of those keys correctly, that opportunity is going to come, and they're going to have to take advantage of that, which leads right into my next one. They're, like I said, take advantage of the opportunities when they're given to them. Offensive side of the ball, I mean, they just got to stay efficient. Like, they can't. At least we saw them come out in the second half. It looked like a different team. They drove immediately down the field out of half, and you kind of thought, this is the Chiefs team I remember watching. And we need to see that kind of for almost 4 quarters in this game, if not all 4 quarters, and then some. But they got to have long, sustained drives. You got to keep Lamar off the field. Ultimately, you got to get points to force them to have to get points offensively, and just don't let the game stall out on offense. And I think, what will go hand in hand with that will be with committing to the run game. If you didn't catch me on the Lockdown Blitz, please be sure you do. It's on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. We talk about all NFL stuff. But I said this game is a crazy matchup just for what you have, and that the Ravens have been kind of suspect defensively, and it's been giving up a lot in the running game. I mean, they just gave up 244 yards to Detroit. Sonic and Knuckles tandem that they have. And then you look at the flip side, the Chiefs have like no running game. So it's at least haven't so far. It's tough. It's tough to say how that can be changed, but that they're going to need to commit to the run game. They're going to need to stay on it and force carries, and hope that they can get a little bit more out of Pacheco, because I mean, love Kareem Hunt and the redemption arc that he's on, but he's just not the same guy he was in 2017. He's not going to bring you those explosive plays. You're going to get that from Pacheco, and that's something that this offense desperately needs, because at this point of the season so far through 3 weeks, the longest carry by any running back is 11 yards. And like I said, Mahomes is the leading rusher on the team and has 7 of the team's 11 carries that are over 10 plus yards. So you got to get more explosive plays out of your running back room, and that has to be done if they're going to win this game. That being said, I think we see the Chiefs build off of what they did last week. We know this is a well-coached, well-run franchise that I trust that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones and the rest of the leaders on that team are not going to let them squander, and fall further into dismay based on how the season started. I fully believe they're going to build off what they did against the Giants, get back to playing Kansas City Chiefs football, and win the game that we know the way they can. And that's going to be a close, hard-fought game, like I said at the beginning, but one I think the Chiefs win, and I have my ultimate prediction at 20-17. But that wraps up my Kingdom Keys for this week, ladies and gentlemen, and looking ahead at Week 4 against the Ravens. As always, if you want to get at me or the rest of our Hit Squad insiders, there's our info on social. If you like this content and want to find more Lockdown Defense stuff, boom, there you are. We are across all social media platforms. And as always, please be sure to like this video. Comment your thoughts down below. Chiefs Kingdom, let me hear from you. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. But I'm the Real AG. This is the Lockdown Defense Sports Network. And until I see you next week, go Chiefs, baby.